Have you ever stopped to think about how it would be possible to find happiness in the midst of the worst of scenarios? How did someone who faced the Holocaust, suffering and abandonment still manage to become the happiest man in the world? In today's video, we will discover the story of Eddie Jaku, a survivor who, instead of carrying resentment and pain, chose to live with joy and love. Before we begin this journey with Eddie Jaku, I want to make you a special invitation. If you are passionate about books, stories of overcoming, and want to be inspired by each review we bring here, click subscribe and activate the bell. That way you won't miss any content from the Literary World channel. Each review is a new door to knowledge and personal growth. And if you're already interested in this story, there's a link in the description for you to purchase the book and dive deep into this incredible work. Eddie Jaku was born in Germany in 1920. And from an early age, he experienced firsthand what it meant to live in an environment full of hate and discrimination. A Jew, Eddie was persecuted by the Nazis during World War II and lived through the horrors of concentration camps. He survived Auschwitz and Buchenwald, two of the most terrible camps. But the most surprising thing is what he did with his life after that. Eddie chose to live a life of happiness and gratitude, sharing his message with the world. He passed away in 2021, at the age of 101, but he left an inspiring legacy for all those who seek happiness. His book, The Happiest Man on Earth, is the testimony of a person who, against all odds, chose to be happy. Eddie Jaku was born in a Germany that was experiencing intense political and economic turmoil. The son of a Jewish family, he grew up in an environment where culture and education were valued and where the sense of community was strong. However, with the rise of Nazism in the 1930s, he saw his life and that of his family change irreparably. Suddenly, what was familiar became hostile, and the mere fact of being Jewish made him a target. Eddie and his family began to experience humiliation, prejudice, and discrimination. His parents were stripped of their rights, their property was lost, and he himself was forced to drop out of school. This radical change represented the beginning of a path full of challenges and pain. For Eddie, this early period symbolized the collapse of his security and an early lesson in how hatred can devastate a society. Eddie's early experiences of persecution had a profound impact on his worldview. He was first forcibly taken to a concentration camp in 1938, following Kristallnacht, a brutal event in which Jewish homes, synagogues, and shops were destroyed. Eddie was only 18 years old, and until that moment, he had no idea of the depth of suffering that lay ahead. In the camp, he witnessed acts of unimaginable violence, and the feeling of helplessness was overwhelming. Yet Eddie found an inner strength that allowed him to endure and maintain hope. Each day was a struggle to survive, but he learned that even in the most desperate situations, it was possible to preserve humanity, whether through an act of kindness, a friendship, or a word of comfort. This period in Eddie's life reinforced his determination to survive, no matter the circumstances. In the concentration camps of Auschwitz and Buchenwald, Eddie experienced the most brutal life in human history. Daily life was dominated by constant fear, physical pain, and hopelessness. Hunger was unbearable, and disease spread rapidly, taking the lives of many. Eddie describes in his book how death seemed to always be lurking, ready to take another prisoner. He saw friends and family lose their lives, and each loss left a deep mark on his soul. However, he also witnessed moments of compassion and courage, small gestures that, for him, were a reminder of human kindness. Even in a place where life seemed to have no value, Eddie believed that dignity and solidarity could survive. His experience in these camps not only left a lasting mark on him, but also taught him that, even in the abyss of cruelty, human beings are capable of resisting with dignity. Eddie's escape was one of the most difficult journeys of his life. When the Nazis began to lose ground, he seized an opportunity and escaped during a retreat. Wandering through the forests and hiding in makeshift shelters, he lived days of uncertainty, feeling vulnerable at every step. He faced hunger, extreme fatigue, and the constant fear of being recaptured. At every moment, Eddie had to rely on his willpower and his ability to find quick solutions to survive. After weeks of running, he finally found the Allied troops, who welcomed him and offered him the freedom he longed for. This episode reinforced in Eddie the importance of never giving up, no matter how insurmountable the obstacles. For him, the escape was not only physical, but also emotional, as it marked the beginning of his liberation from a painful past and opened the way to a new life. After the war, Eddie began a process of healing and rebuilding. He moved to Australia, where he found a safe and welcoming environment. It was in this new home that Eddie met his wife and started a family, rediscovering love and happiness. For him, love was one of the most powerful forces in his healing process. He realized that by opening his heart again, he was allowing happiness to return to his life. Eddie saw in his family the opportunity to build something positive and to leave a legacy different from the suffering he had experienced. This rediscovery of love gave him a new purpose and reinforced his belief that happiness is a conscious choice, independent of past experiences. Throughout his life, Eddie emphasized the importance of the bonds that bind us to others. He believed that friendship is one of the most powerful forces we possess, and that love is a fundamental pillar of happiness. During his time in the concentration camps, he formed bonds of friendship with other prisoners, and these bonds helped him maintain his sanity and hope. Eddie also deeply valued his family, saying that it was their love that gave his life meaning after the war. For him, cultivating loving relationships is essential to overcoming challenges and building a meaningful life. He always said that love is a choice that frees and strengthens us, and that it is fundamental to a fulfilling life. Eddie believed that happiness is something we build every day, regardless of the circumstances. He learned that living with gratitude is one of the keys to happiness and that we should appreciate the present. without carrying the burden of the past or anxiety about the future. Another important principle for Eddie was forgiveness. He understood that forgiveness is a powerful healing tool and that holding a grudge only prolongs suffering. In addition, Eddie also spoke about the importance of helping others and living a life of purpose. These principles were not just theories for him. They were daily practices that he incorporated into his life and shared with the world in his lectures and in his book. Eddie had a mission in life: to share his story and its lessons with the new generations. He believed that by teaching young people about the horrors of the past and the importance of peace, he was contributing to a better world. Eddie spoke with enthusiasm and hope, always believing that the future could be different. He encouraged young people not to give in to hatred and to always choose the path of love and compassion. His message of hope was an invitation for everyone to reflect on their own lives and choices, and to commit to building a more just and peaceful society. For Eddie, forgiveness was a personal choice that freed him from hatred and bitterness. He understood that forgiveness was not an absolution, but a way to free himself from the emotional chains that bound him to the past. By forgiving, Eddie found inner peace and felt that he was finally free to live a full life. This process of forgiveness was not easy. It took years and required deep reflection. But in the end, Eddie discovered that forgiveness was an act of self-care, a decision that transformed his life and allowed him to live with ease and happiness. Eddie Jaku's legacy is a lesson in resilience, love, and the power of choice. He proved that even in the darkest moments, we have the ability to choose how we respond to adversity. Eddie believed that happiness does not depend on circumstances, but on how we choose to interpret and react to what happens in our lives. His book, The Happiest Man on Earth, is a testament to this philosophy and continues to inspire readers around the world. Eddie leaves us with a powerful message: that we always have the option to build a full life based on love, forgiveness, and gratitude. So, what did you think of Eddie Jaku's story? Do you believe that happiness really is a choice? Share it with us in the comments. We would love to hear your opinion and, of course, learn from you too. Your opinion is very important to us. So, did you enjoy the video? I hope Eddie Jaku's story inspired you as it inspired all of us. If you got this far, thank you very much. Take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and follow our next book reviews. And remember, here at Literary World, each book is a new journey. Until the next video.